this is a first. This is the world premiere. Never before has a gathering of Alaska outdoor and gun enthusiast YouTube channels come together. So I'm very excited about this. This is the first time this has ever happened. So I just wanted, we're doing a couple roundtable discussions, so I just want to introduce all our channels because some of you might not know about the other channels here. So of course I'm Chuke with Chuke's Outdoor Adventures, and let's just go down the line.
All right, David with Do It Right.
Corey from Hammerhard Outdoors.
Chuck from Alaskan Ballistics.
So we got different opinions here, so I just want to jump into it. This video is about what you carry in the woods for bear protection. I'll start off with what I got. I always say that 12 gauge is the best thing, but I never bring a 12 gauge out when I'm hunting or hiking because I always set it down or it's too heavy and I don't want to just carry it all the time. So I keep going back to the Glock 20. Now this is safe. So I keep going back to the Glock 20. I also like the 500 Smith & Wesson, but I will only use this if I'm around camp or it's a short car hike. If I'm camping in the car and I'm just going out a little ways to a bait station or just going out a little ways, because when I have this on my chest with the Diamond D, it just kills me. It just, because I always have a backpack and a rifle too, and it's just too much for me. It's too annoying, but I would prefer this. And we're talking brown bear country. And this makes me a little nervous because it's 10mm, it's a lot smaller, but that's what I stick with because there's just so many rounds, and I know people personally who have killed brown bear with it. It's not ideal, but that's what I'm going with, guys. So what are your guys' choice for brown bear protection in Alaska?
Well, I recently got rid of my USP 45, which I would have liked to use 200 grain, probably plus P, you know, full metal jacket, maybe flat nose, but the other option would be an Armscore 1911. This isn't 45, but I had the opportunity to shoot the 10mm, like their full line, their double stacks and everything at last year's SHOT Show, and they recoiled less than a 45 even, and I was really amazed with how much you actually got out of the whole package, how many features you could get in different pistols, and they're under the price of, you know, maybe a Glock 20, and you can get them very inexpensively. You can get different barrel lengths, but full-size barrel length would be my thing. Get that as much velocity as you can in order to get good penetration. But yeah, that would be my choice, but currently I don't have something for bear country, so I'm going to leave it to you to protect me.
Alright, so here's my little history. A little while back I bought a whole bunch of property out on the Etna, and when I did that, I had a lot to basically get my head wrapped around. I didn't know anything about building cabins, I didn't know anything about boating, I didn't know anything about sledding, and I sure the hell didn't know about bears and what guns to buy for bears. So I basically I was looking at 44s just because when I grew up, the large hand cannons, I didn't know anything about them. They just, you know what I mean, weren't as popular in Pennsylvania where I grew up. So I went with 44. I don't regret it. I'm a smaller guy, so the 5-shot cylinder works well for me. I barely know the thing is on me most of the times. And honestly, I just use them with the hard cast bullets. I mean, honestly, when I first went out to the property, I'd, you know, roll with hollow points, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know the whole argument about penetration versus stopping power. Now, I'm not saying there's not brown bears out of my cabin. I haven't seen any, but I've definitely had a couple of situations with black bears where I've come, basically, you know, face, right to them, right from me to the camera. So, and I've definitely pulled this gun out a couple of times in situations, you know what I mean, where I'm like, oh crap, but it never, you know, ended up having where I had to actually use this weapon. So anyway, like I said, 44, nothing spectacular, Taurus tracker. And then I also kind of supplement that with a shotgun of some sort, and I just picked up this guy right here. It's a Mossberg 930. It's an auto shotgun, their little tactical line. I think we're probably going to take a look at this a little bit later just to kind of, you know, get just kind of, you know, first off impressions. I used to just run with the Remington 870. It's super simple. I know it always work. You know what I mean? I never had any issues, just kind of the standard whatever shotgun issues that I guess, you know, are prevalent with, you know, like short shucking rounds and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm looking forward to trying this one out this summer when it comes back to summertime in bear country.
All right. I'm Chuck. I just picked up a new bear pistol. I'm going to be doing a lot more testing with it. I have 3 or 4 that I like to carry, but this is my new Glock Model 40. It's empty. And this is 10 millimeter, and it's got me an inch more barrel than Chuke's Model 20, so we're going to do some comparisons here. But I'm going to definitely be shooting probably the Total Metal Jacket from Buffalo Bore. That's a hard cast, flat nose, bonded bullet. And I've actually noticed those will actually penetrate more than some of just the hard cast. But they might deviate some too if the jacket happens to split. So this is brand new. I've only shot it once, and I'm not that good with it yet. I got to practice with it a lot more. But it's reliable, no jams, with quality ammo, and it's a good gun. When I first came here, I got me a 44, and so here is my 44 single action. I do not recommend single action. I would be lucky to get 1 shot off at a bear with this, but I do carry 340 grain in it a lot. It's reliable. It always goes boom. Now here's the issue I have with the shotgun for bear protection, and I'm going to cause a controversy right now, guys. We're just going to jump right into it. All right. I was caribou hunting 2 years ago. Me and my buddy were absolutely stupid. We're going to do a couch video, me and my hunting buddy, on how stupid we were caribou hunting this time. It was first time caribou hunting. We got one. It was too late at night. He dragged the kayak back. He was, dehydrated. He was carrying a shotgun because he wasn't a real big rifleman, and he hadn't, done a lot of hunting. So he was carrying a shotgun for bear protection. He was carrying my 44, and I had my 45 Super, my Glock 21, and my rifle, right? And he, on the way back, after we flipped the kayak, and we're both like huddling and cuddling with each other as 2 grown men, no homo, I promise, but like, it was like we were, trying to fight hypothermia, and he pulled this out walking up the hill back. I took the kayak out with all the meat and flipped it again and had to suffer hypothermia. Fortunately, some nice people at the lodge down there got us out, and we shouldn't be here, but he decided to carry this instead of the shotgun. And I thought he was the biggest, dumbest person. Why would you carry the 44? He was just carrying it in his hand out like this because he knew bears were more active in the morning, and he was weak, and he'd been basically had 1 bottle of water and was eating berries, and I said to him later, but I didn't say it at the time. Later I said to him, I don't think that was a smart idea. Well, I took this girl I was dating at the time to the range, and I was showing her my Remington 870, and I pulled those rounds out that we had flipped in the kayak. Brennecke, the Brennecke that we all carry. What are they? The Black Magic, right? That we all carry.
Fish and Game recommends it.
Yep, Fish and Game recommends it. Not a one of them fired. They got wet for less than a split second. They were done. So if you carry a 12 gauge, you absolutely have to water it. This gun was under the same water. All 6 of those rounds fired. In fact, they were the same rounds I fired in my video on this gun.
Yeah, but Chuck, I crawl in the swamp when I duck hunt, and I pretty much swim with my shotgun and get it completely wet, and that's never happened to me.
Yeah, but if you're fishing, you know how the rocks are around here. You slip, Duck hunting's the same thing.
I've seen your videos. You get pretty,
I get pretty wet, yeah.
You get pretty wet. So
it was an 870, and that never happened to me.
Right.
But
right.
It wasn't submerged, but it was like.
But bird shots are usually, duck rounds are usually wax sealed.
Oh, okay.
Slugs are not. It's a totally different, usually. Yeah. So if you carry a 12 gauge, wax seal them. The Buffalo Bore rounds, they were good. So I'm thinking if you're just carrying for protection and you're going to get wet, this in a chest holster right here across your chest is a lot better than stumbling around with the 12 gauge, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the 12 gauge is more powerful.
There's no doubt about it. If you're going to hit the bear with something, you'd rather hit them with the 12 gauge. Yeah. But
I think everybody's got a story though about rounds getting wet though, and I'm pretty sure even just like normal pistol rounds, somebody has a story somewhere of them getting wet and not working.
Oh yeah, I do too. But yeah, I have one of those too. But yeah,
I think it's just one of those things you have to kind of just recognize, I guess, the weakness of whatever you have. I mean, if you get something wet, it's always basically a toss at that point on whether or not it's going to work if you need it. And after dealing with hypothermia and then dealing with the bear, it's like, that's shitty day, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the lowest round in pistol calibers you can go for brown bear, Alaskan brown bear protection? I would say don't go lower than 357 and 10 millimeter, and even those can be questionable, but I would still carry them. And we all know 9 millimeters killed a brown bear, but it's still not. I don't know. They say not to do it. What's the lowest you guys would go?
I carry my 9 millimeter as a backup. I have my 44 mag across my chest, bear spray in my hand when I go hiking. This was on my hip today. I was in the woods. Of course, it's winter time. They're hibernating, but there's moose around. There's wolves in the park we were in. I carried this today. Extreme penetrators, Buffalo Bore Plus B Plus penetrators. They work. 9mm. I firmly believe if I was this close to a grizzly bear and I popped 4 in his jaw right there with a 9mm extreme penetrator, he'd have a rough day.
It's been done.
You got to break through the skull, and 40 is one of the ones that I would actually say is all right, depending on the loading. You want it to be a little hotter. Probably 165, 180 grain might be going a little too slow, but typically it does okay with barrier penetration in general. I wouldn't say body shots are something that you would have good luck on at all. I would just say we're talking about getting through a skull. So in a lot of cases, 9mm would do good, but at the same time, you got to cause damage when you get through there. So 40, I would say that cuts it, but 357, you can actually inflict hydrostatic shock on the brain. That is one organ that is actually sensitive to that. So the greater velocity, the more sympathetic hydrostatic shock that you're going to be able to inflict. And so typically, I would agree 357 if you can, but as far as capacity, 40 caliber at the least, but 10mm if you can swing it. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I say 357. I have just tiny bit experience with bears. I've shot one with 30-06, and it was the first time I ever shot a bear, and I was probably about maybe 50 to 75 yards. Shot it, basically bounced off the head, went into a hindquarter, knocked it completely out.
Wait, how did it bounce? It bounced
it
off
was
the
basically
head.
the bear presented its, like when I finally got up out of the hill and saw it, I'm like, oh, that's my shot, and it's looking right at me. So it's like I don't want to put this guy down because I didn't want him to start, basically like rushing me. And it knocked him clean out. I shot one with M14 or M1A or whatever they call them, and the shot in the ribs, ran about 100 yards, dropped it with another one to the head, but. I have to agree. I think 44, 357 is probably as low as I go. However, whatever you have is, better than whatever you don't have, I guess.
And actually, I would actually say, depending on where somebody is living, like one of the viewers is actually living, they may only be able to shop at stores, because I know here in Alaska, you can't order off the internet, so you're at the mercy of whatever is at the store during that time. They might be out of Buffalo Boar. They might be out of a really good the extreme penetrators, even from Lehigh, something like that can actually bust through the brain and actually cause some form of hydrostatic shock. And that's really the goal. Is you don't need a hollow point really. In a perfect world, yes, but you can't really trust a hollow point to expand through something like bone. It'll basically crush it. And seal it up and make it cave in on itself. So you're really at the mercy of what's in stock at your stores. So if you have several calibers to choose from, I wouldn't say just because on Wednesday they didn't have your perfect round and your perfect caliber to, not invest in that caliber anyways, because they could later. But it gets complicated. If you have all those calibers available to you, it might just be at the mercy of what you can actually load your gun with. And
luckily we have Alaska Ammo here with extreme penetrators and Underwood, but I know you have said that those kind of are
in a human body.
I know me and Chuck use them, but and I did have one tumble. I will say that I had one tumble in a block of gel, a 10mm. But I'm still a fan. So what do you got against Underwood?
The only thing I have against it is when you're talking about something like 9mm or something light for caliber, you're looking at something like deviation. Typically, you want to aim it for center mass, whatever you can hit for hunting. Absolutely, it does well for getting through that barrier. But when we're talking about targeting organs that are beyond, something like bone, skin, certain solid barriers, if you cannot reach that and it deviates, if you go for a headshot, it's pretty much right in the brain right away, all right? So you don't have to worry about deviation as much. And it could even tumble in there and that'll be good for you. But when we're aiming for something like the human body and it needs to go through different barriers, it has a problem with deviation. And that's something that, things that are like if you've done ballistics gel tests or anything like that, you see the rounds do this number, they immediately go off course. And if your heart is right here and it goes off course, it didn't even do anything. It didn't hit the target. And the target is the organs, it's not just the area on the body. So that's something I think a lot of people are missing when they're using ballistics gel or anything else. And that's something that people really need to consider, and it's a serious thing. I saw that plenty when I was in the military. People taking center mass hits and then going right out the sides under the armpit and not even clipping an artery, and these guys survive after several hours. And they get medevac, we have to treat them, they come back and they kill more people. So this is something that I would say is against Lehigh as far as personal protection. It's a consideration, not a complete damning of the round, but it's something that you need to consider.
You know, they're loaded hot and they do a lot of damage. What do you say, Chuck? You're the tester?
Well, he has a lot more ballistic shells test than I am, but I think, I just want to go back to guns for a second. If I wanted extreme penetrators, I would want to use them at 45-70. I don't think any of us have it here right now. I have a single action 45-70, but I think if that's your ideal bear gun is a 45-70, you could get it synthetic stock. But I want to go back to guns too. I'll cause another controversy here. This is not 300 Blackout, but what about a 300 Blackout AR pistol? 30 rounds, M80 ball bullets, the 147 grain bimetal jackets, you load those up, you got 30 rounds, you got the same relative power in a supersonic load as a 41 to 44 Magnum. It's in between those out of this barrel length. Why not?
Well,
Felton's ordering one of those as we speak.
Yeah, I almost ordered a 458 SOCOM upper.
Have one.
That's not a bad idea, because the biggest thing that you're talking about is weight, and you can sling that on your body. It's not going to really take up too much. You may be able to get a quick release, like just a button snap or something like that. You can have it pretty small. I mean, outside it probably isn't going to be that big of an issue for acoustic shock, if you will. But I would say that, yeah, you can get a carbon fiber lower and stuff like that, reduce the weight extremely. And so I don't see a problem with that at all.
No.
Well, we're running out of time, guys, but look for more roundtable discussions with all our channels like this, and if we can figure out how to live stream through the Google Plus thing, that would be cool, because we could all do this from home and do it once a week or whatever. But anyways, please check out Do It Right, Hammerheart Outdoors, and Alaskan Ballistics, and we'll have more for you. Thanks, guys.